The following are safety concerns and code violations related to electrical wiring. An oversized breaker for a dryer, specifically a 100 amps breaker for a 30 amps dryer circuit, is a major safety hazard. An exposed receptacle, in this case a dryer receptacle without a box or cover, poses an electrocution risk. Using the bare conductor as a hot conductor is a severe code violation and creates a serious electrical hazard. Using an extension cord for a permanent appliance like a washer is unsafe and a fire hazard. An underport receptacle for a washer should be ground fault circuit interrupter protected. Oversized breakers for space heaters, such as 60 amps breakers for 14 gauge 230 volt circuits, are excessive and can lead to overheating and electrical fires. An oversized breaker for a fridge, for example a 50 amps breaker for a 120 volts fridge, is inappropriate and poses a safety risk. A suspended and damaged service entrance cable for a range is a fire hazard and needs immediate replacement. Corrective actions must be taken to address these issues. Firstly, replace the 100 amps dryer breaker with a 30 amps breaker. Secondly, install a proper electrical box and cover for the dryer receptacle. Thirdly, correctly wire the dryer receptacle using the white wire as the neutral and the green or bare wire as the ground. Fourthly, install a permanent ground fault circuit interrupter protected receptacle for the washer under the porch. Fifthly, replace the 60 amps breakers for the space heaters with 15 amps breakers. Sixthly, install a 15 amps breaker for the fridge circuit. Seventhly, replace the deteriorated service entrance cable for the range with new, properly sized and supported cable. There are additional considerations. Notify the homeowners immediately about the serious safety hazards present. Recommend a thorough electrical inspection of the entire property to identify and address any other potential hazards. Consider reporting the situation to the local building inspector or electrical authority for enforcement action as necessary. Let's delve into the specifics of these electrical hazards and corrective actions in more detail. Firstly, the oversized breaker for the dryer is a critical issue. A 100 amps breaker on a 30 amp circuit means that the breaker will not trip in the event of a sustained overload or short circuit on the dryer circuit. This can lead to overheating of the wires, potentially causing a fire. The correct breaker size is essential for protecting the circuit and preventing electrical fires. Secondly, the exposed receptacle presents a significant electrocution risk. Electrical boxes and covers are designed to protect the terminals and wiring of the receptacle from physical damage and exposure to moisture or other contaminants. Without a box and cover, the terminals are exposed, increasing the risk of someone coming into contact with live parts. Thirdly, the use of the bare conductor as a hot conductor and the white wire as a ground is a severe code violation. The National Electrical Code, (NEC), requires that the white wire be used as the neutral conductor and the green or bare wire be used as the grounding conductor. Using the bare conductor as a hot conductor creates a shock hazard, as any grounded metal object that comes into contact with the bare wire will become energized. This is a dangerous and potentially fatal situation. Fourthly, using an extension cord for a permanent appliance like a washer is unsafe. Extension cords are not designed for continuous use and can easily overheat, especially when used to power high current appliances. Overheating extension cords can cause fires. Permanent appliances should be connected to a dedicated circuit with a properly installed receptacle. Fifthly, the underport receptacle for the washer should be ground fault circuit interrupter protected. Ground fault circuit interrupters are designed to protect people from electric shock by detecting ground faults, which occur when current leaks from a circuit to ground. Ground fault circuit interrupters trip the circuit quickly, preventing serious injury or death. Receptacles in damp or wet locations, such as under porch, are required to be ground fault circuit interrupter protected. Sixthly, oversized breakers for space heaters are a significant fire hazard. 60 amps breakers on 14 gauge 230 volt circuits will not protect the wiring from overheating. 14 gauge wire is only rated for 15 amps, so a 60 amps breaker will allow the wire to be overloaded, potentially causing a fire. Seventhly, an oversized breaker for the fridge poses a safety risk. A 50 amps breaker on a 120 volts fridge circuit is too large and will not provide adequate protection in the event of a short circuit or overload. A 15 amps or 20 amps breaker is typically appropriate for a fridge circuit depending on a fridge's power requirements. Eighthly, the deteriorated service entrance cable for the range is a fire hazard. The service entrance cable is responsible for bringing power from the utility company to the range. If the cable is damaged or deteriorated, it can overheat and cause a fire. Suspended cables should be properly supported to prevent strain and damage. The insulation should be intact to prevent shorts and ground faults. In terms of corrective actions, replacing the 100 amps dry breaker with a 30 amps breaker is crucial for safety. The correct breaker size will protect the circuit from overloads and short circuits, preventing fires. Installing a proper electrical box and cover for the dryer receptacle will protect the terminals and wiring from damage and exposure, reducing the risk of electrocution. Correctly wiring the dryer receptacle using the white wire as the neutral and the green or bare wire as the ground will ensure that the circuit is wired according to code and that there is no shock hazard. Installing a permanent ground fault circuit interrupter protected receptacle for the washer under the porch will protect people from electric shock in a damp location. Replacing the 60 amps breakers for the space heaters with 15 amps breakers will protect the wiring from overheating and prevent fires. Installing a 15 amps breaker for the fridge circuit will provide adequate protection in the event of a short circuit or overload. Replacing the deteriorated service entrance cable for the range with new, properly sized and supported cable will eliminate the fire hazard associated with the damaged cable. It's important to emphasize the additional considerations. Notifying the homeowners immediately about the serious safety hazards present is essential. They need to be aware of the risks and take steps to correct them as soon as possible. Recommending a thorough electrical inspection of the entire property to identify and address any other potential hazards is a prudent step. There may be other hidden electrical problems that need to be addressed. Considering reporting the situation to the local building inspector or electrical authority for enforcement action may be necessary, especially if the homeowners are unwilling to make the necessary repairs. Electrical codes are in place to protect people and property, and it's important to ensure that they are followed. When assessing the situation, several key points should be carefully examined. The size of the breaker must match the wire gauge. The National Electrical Code, or NEC, specifies the maximum allowable ampacity for different wire gauges. Using an oversized breaker on a smaller gauge wire is a fire hazard. The condition of the wiring must be inspected for damage or deterioration. Cracked, brittle, or frayed insulation can indicate that the wiring is old or has been subjected to excessive heat or moisture. Damaged wiring should be replaced. All electrical connections must be tight and secure. Loose connections can cause overheating and arcing, which can lead to fires. The presence of ground fault circuit interrupter protection in wet or damp locations is essential. Ground fault circuit interrupters can prevent electric shock in these areas. The proper grounding of electrical equipment is critical for safety. Grounding provides a path for fault current to flow back to the source, tripping the breaker and preventing electric shock. The correct type of receptacle must be used for the application. For example, a dryer receptacle must be a 30 amps, 240 volts receptacle. The use of extension cords should be minimized. Extension cords are not designed for permanent use and can easily overheat. Permanent appliances should be connected to a dedicated circuit with a properly installed receptacle. When making repairs, it is important to use the correct materials and methods. All work should be done in accordance with the National Electrical Code, or NEC. It is always best to hire a qualified electrician to perform electrical work. Electricians have the knowledge, skills, and experience to do the job safely and correctly. Safety is paramount when working with electricity. Always turn off the power at the breaker before working on any electrical circuit. Wear appropriate personal protective equipment such as insulated gloves and safety glasses. Use insulated tools. If you are not comfortable working with electricity, hire a qualified electrician. Ignoring electrical hazards can have serious consequences, including electric shock, fire, and even death. It is important to take electrical safety seriously and to correct any electrical problems as soon as possible. Here are some additional details to consider. The type of wiring used in the house. Older homes may have aluminum wiring, which can be a fire hazard if not properly installed and maintained. The presence of any knob and tube wiring, which is an outdated and unsafe wiring method. The condition of the electrical panel. The panel should be in good condition, with no signs of rust, corrosion, or damage. The presence of any double-tap breakers, which is a code violation. Each breaker should only have one wire connected to it. The overall condition of the electrical system. Is it up to code? Is it safe? Are there any potential hazards? A thorough electrical inspection can help to identify and address any electrical problems. Regular electrical inspections are recommended, especially in older homes. If you have any concerns about the safety of your electrical system, contact a qualified electrician. They can help you to identify and correct any potential hazards. Proper electrical wiring is essential for safety and peace of mind. By taking the necessary steps to ensure that your electrical system is up to code and in good condition, you can protect yourself, your family, and your property from electrical hazards.